so we just covered mindset, and now we're going to go into more specifically how to achieve your specific goals. Now, I'm assuming that the majority of you want some kind of goals that are related to tattooing. So I'm going to cover some basic generalized steps that you can take in order to achieve what I would assume to be some general goals that pretty much the majority of you probably want to achieve at some point in time. So as we already talked, it's very important that you clearly know what your goal is, that we don't go chasing false goals. Because if you go chasing something that's not really for you, if it's something that the outside world has put into your head that you need to do in order to be approved by the outside world, then it's not probably your true passion. So if you find your true goal, you will have an abundance of passion, you will have an abundance of joy, and you will have so much energy that nothing can really stop you. Now, as said, I'm assuming that the majority of you are here because you want to learn tattooing and you're passionate about tattooing. Now, what steps can you do to really set clear goals is to determine clearly what aspects of tattooing that really excite you the most. What do you get excited about? So is it going to be black work? Is it ornamental? Is it realistic? Don't do it just in order to chase for fame or money, because no matter what style you choose or what you want to get good at, if you get really good at it, the money will flow for sure. So don't go chasing in styles either. I know there's some people who assume that only certain styles can make good money, but it's not true. If you're really good at what you do and if you create something special, then people will fly to you from all around the world. So make sure that the style you're engaging in and the style you want to pursue and becoming better is something that really you enjoy doing. And now there's nothing wrong with exploring many different styles as well, but I'm fairly sure that some of you might have some kind of tendencies getting pulled more towards one style than another. Look at the different styles, examine them, and feel what resonates most with you. And don't worry also, if you're not finding a clear niche that you resonate with, it might come with time also. So I'm a big believer in just trying to do what you really love and trying to do the best every day, that some kind of style, something special will evolve from that. It's not necessarily something that you have to push. And also you might push for one style and it might be that your heart starts beating for another style maybe 5 years later. Who knows? So there's nothing wrong with creating good basic knowledge in many different styles. It will just make you a much more versatile tattoo artist. Now, if you can, I think it helps a lot if you can break down some of your goals into smaller, clearly achievable goals where you clearly know what to do in order to achieve that. So, for example, mastering a new technique, whether it be stippling or gray wash or line work or creating solid color work. Or it could be something such as, hey, I don't like the kind of hair that I'm tattooing right now. It's too simplistic. I want to create more volume in it and more details, and I'm going to really set out on a mission to achieve this kind of end result. So whatever it may be, try to also break down your goals into slightly shorter term goals that you can clearly focus on, that you can put attention on and intention to master. Now, it's also really good to have long-term goals, something that you have your eyes set on. And some things can actually happen much faster than what you think, but it really doesn't happen easily unless you set the goals first. So those are the ones that guide you. They're your direction, as we already spoke about. Now, nothing really happens magically. There has to be some effort into it, but the more the thing you're going for, the more passionate you feel about it, the easier the effort will feel like. We often see people who become really good at something that they do, and we don't realize that there's usually a lot of work behind that. So whether we talk about professional athletes, politicians, CEOs, or great artists, I absolutely think that never has somebody just been born and known everything. Now, you might be super athletic from the get-go and you might have a better starting point than somebody else. But in the end, it's about continuous learning and keep pushing and keep learning on a consistent basis. And throughout time, if you stay consistent, the results are going to be dramatically different from those that do not put in the work, no matter how talented they are from the beginning. You might not all be big fans of basketball, but many of you probably know who Kobe Bryant was. He was one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But he also trained like crazy. But what I could argue, and what I would argue here, is if Kobe Bryant never touched a basketball in his life, and you practiced every day, 8 hours, consistently for 10 years, I would be betting everything I have that you will beat Kobe Bryant any day of the week. So consistent work really beats talent in the long run. Talent might have a head start, but they're not getting further if they're not consistently progressing. So keep that in mind. It's not a sprint. Stay on your course and keep consistently improving and learning something new every single day. And amazing things will happen. Now, how can you continuously improve and learn? First, be critical of your own work, but don't be critical to the point where you start bashing yourself and you kill all joy and all pleasure that you get from tattooing. Avoid growing an ego that will be very, very proud of everything that you do. Because as soon as you think you're really good, that's the end of pretty much all development. I can tell all of you that even if I'm teaching here, yes, I feel like I have a lot to give, but I also know that I have so much to learn still. And if I ever thought that I know it all or had this kind of feeling, then I would simply quit. But I see this quite often in artists that kind of develop to a certain level where they feel really good about themselves. And I see all development, all progress just stop immediately. So avoid building up any kind of arrogance. And usually arrogance is even just a cousin of insecurity. But it's still a disguise that does not allow us to be humble enough to learn. I recommend doing workshops. I recommend also getting out of your comfort zone, whether it be trying new styles, whether it be attending conventions, guest spots, go to museums, get inspired, study, and take time to practice also. This is one important thing. So many people are only focused on working, but you need to take time to practice as well. You need to take time to actually practice certain techniques. So if you're always trying to perform, you don't take enough time to really practice where you're trying to learn. So performance and practice should be separated. We can return to this subject at a later stage, but I think it's very important. Practice is the time when you can actually practice different things and learn from it and reflect, and you can on purpose practice specific things to get better at. When you're performing, you're under stress, you don't try so many new things, you're just trying to get to the end result, and it's very different from practice. Now, if you don't want to practice on human skin, you can always return to fake skin, or you can paint or draw. These are all good ways of practicing as well. So remember to take some time off if you really want to develop. Take some time off where you focus solely on practicing. And this is where these short-term goals really come to handy, because you can set up to do something very specific, such as I just want to be able to color this one square fully black, and you start really practicing that if you have been only doing line work before that. Or it can be something more complex, like making a super long fade from red to yellow, and you want to make it very consistent. So whatever your specific goal might be, take some time off and practice that certain area until you're very happy with it, and then you return to another segment that you also want to start practicing and becoming better at. Now, this type of continuous learning is going to yield amazing results. I will also look into possibly arranging some kind of get-togethers. Obviously, this is not possible for the entire group here, but we'll see what we can do, possibly something where we could actually have a workshop or something of 20-30 people physically somewhere, or even a smaller group. I don't have something specific in mind right now, but we'll see where this community goes, and if there's interest for something like that, we could arrange something like that at some point in time as well, because I think those learning experiences are extremely valuable also, especially if they're more than one day where we can be together for a full week, and people can actually practice tattooing, where I can even hold your hand and actually show exactly what I mean with the things we're talking about here. But anyway, that's something that we will see once this community develops, and see if there is interest for that once the time comes. Okay, so keep practicing regularly, dedicate time daily, or if you're not daily, at least once a week, to practice and refine some specific techniques of yours. So don't focus only on working, because your development is going to be very stagnant if you're only focused on performing and not actually practicing. So definitely work on dedicating some specific time separate from the performance, in example, tattooing for work. Work on both painting, drawing, designing, and live tattooing, as this builds a lot of confidence and skill. So whatever you do on paper or with paint, it will translate to skin as well. It might not translate immediately, but it will translate. So take some time for that as well and enjoy doing it. So it all doesn't have to be a performance. Enjoy, for example, just trying to mix colors and see what happens, you know. Take time to practice and be curious. Be like a child, you know, learn new things. It's one of the greatest things we have in this life is to learn new things. Now, in order to build a good clientele and stuff, we're going to go much deeper into how you can actually do this. But one important thing in actually getting to work on what you want to do is show your work and showcase your best work. This means you don't have to showcase every single practice you do. You don't have to showcase everything. Work on showing quality, work on showing the best you can, and work on showing the stuff that you want to work on. We will also talk about photographing tattoos and photographing artwork in general and how to present it. I would say always try to ensure high quality. I see so many badly taken photos. Sometimes the artwork is good, sometimes it's bad. But if the photo is bad, it doesn't really matter how good the artwork is, because the photo, if it's bad, nobody's going to have any reaction to it at all. So you have to focus on getting also capturing a good artwork. But don't solely focus on getting a good picture. You also have to be able to first create a nice tattoo and then getting a nice picture of it. And seek feedback. Now we already have a tattoo critique feed here, and I suggest you use it. There will be a lot of feedback for most of you. I see it getting more and more active on a daily basis. So use it to your advantage and also be active there in critiquing other people. Remember to only use constructive criticism. There is no reason for anybody to start bashing anybody else. Only critique somebody if you have something to say that will actually help this person develop, not to take down their self-esteem. Most of you seem to be very amazing people who offer really constructive and positive criticism for people to actually develop, and that's amazing. But I suggest that all of you start using the feed for critique, because it's an amazing tool. Now, you do not have to take all critique 100% to heart. Some critique might not be valid, but listen to everything, take it in, and reflect on whether it's valid or not. Connect with other artists, build a social network, and this community serves as a really good social network. And as said, I will see if I can arrange something more interesting in physical life for some of you who might be interested as well. And if you guys have any other ideas on how we could form even better connections between artists here or something else, then you can shoot some suggestions in the comments below this module as well. What helps in creating connections is obviously being active here in the community, but also attending some events such as conventions or guest spots, or even seminars, workshops. Just get out there and be talkative, be open. Most artists are really friendly people. Some artists might come off as not friendly. It might be insecurities or just that they're busy. Don't take it personally. Just at least make yourself available to the opportunity for other people to connect with you. And sometimes that means you have to be the one who opens your mouth, or you have to be the one who offers your hand to shake, or the one who introduces yourself. One thing that I noticed helped me a lot with creating some new techniques and understanding different usage of needles or colors, etc., has been to work on collaborative projects with other artists. Now, this might not be possible for everybody, but I noticed working so closely with other artists, for example, on the design project for a specific tattoo, and also on the tattoo itself, we're working so closely and we're throwing ideas back and forth, and you feel how the other person is working on the skin, and you keep communicating about everything all the time. It's one of the best ways for me, at least at this point in my career. I feel like it's one, not the only one, but one of the best ways for me right now into gaining some new perspectives on how to do things or how different people approach different things. Your clients are the ones who are putting the bread on your table, so treat them with respect. It doesn't mean that you have to do everything they want, but treat them with respect, because they will remember you. I've seen some artists treat clients as second-class humans, or not speaking to them, or just not caring about them at all. And I think from a client's perspective, it means the world when you're actually curious about them and communicate with them like they're completely on the same level as you, because you are. There's no difference between you or them just because you're doing some specific job and they're not. And I will tell you right now, like some of the best friendships right now are people who have been my clients. Just so many amazing people. Obviously, not everybody is going to be somebody you match fully with or somebody that you connect with or vibe with, but you can still and you should still treat them with full respect, because people will talk, clients as well. And sometimes you will need people who come through clients, not just through social media. It's the most amazing feeling when you have some clients who just keep bringing in other people, or they keep returning because they're so happy. So I have many clients who have started off with something small and suddenly they end up with 2 sleeves and 2 leg sleeves or a full back. And it's only because they had such a good experience in our studio. And you know what? When they have a good experience, I usually tend to have a good experience as well. So just by serving your clients with love and full respect, they will for sure start speaking good about you, and you will start getting some referrals and also some positive reviews possibly on your website. Now, if you want, you can also, of course, ask them directly to give you reviews on your social media, for example, on your Facebook page or on your studio page or Google reviews, whatever you may want. If you treat them like thin air, you should not go asking for any positive reviews because they might not be that positive. Now, I understand many people hate social media, but it's a very good marketing tool. And it's part of the job nowadays. I'm not a huge fan of it either. It's not something I enjoy spending my time on, but I understand the power of it. And I'm actually very thankful that it exists nowadays, because I talked with artists who were tattooing 20 years ago, and there were no way that they would be able to work on the projects that they get to work on today, because the way they worked is they just waited for somebody to perhaps walk into the studio and take a look at their portfolio. Nowadays, again, if you develop in your craft and become really good at it, you can have people who see your artwork on the other side of the world, and they're ready to fly to you to get specifically your kind of tattoos. So to me, that's invaluable, and it's actually worth the time on social media. I think one of the biggest steps for somebody is to start posting work on social media. It's scary, and as artists, we tend not to be happy with what we create. I'm one of those as well. Me and Kathleen, in fact, both of us. We rarely feel so good about our work that we want to post it, but we understand that it's important that we do post it. And we usually always check in with each other, like, is this good enough to post? And the other part is, yeah, of course, it's amazing. But we do not feel that way about our own work. So just maybe it's encouraging for some of you to hear as well, that even after 10 plus years of tattooing, we might not always feel very comfortable with the work we're putting out, and we might not always feel very comfortable putting it out on social media either. But it's something that has to be done. But here again, to return to it, I think for most artists who are starting out, you should start by drawing something and not just directly by tattooing. So start by drawing and start posting those first to start getting some feedback. I would say that only when you get to the point with your drawings that people start actually asking about it on social media, how they could get a portrait done or how they can get some artwork done for you, whether it's a coffee mug design or t-shirt design that they want, or just a graphite drawing of some of their children or dogs, then at that point you can start considering posting your tattoo work as well. But I see many artists nowadays, new artists, who are immediately getting into tattoos but have no background in drawing. Now, you can do it this way, but I think it's a shortcut that will kill your career early. So do take time to draw as well. Do take time to paint. It's extremely important because that's where you really learn. Now, I don't think it's impossible to learn tattooing if you're never drawing, but it's a very, very steep hill to climb. The chances of you succeeding are way slimmer than what they would be if you would also take up drawing and painting. Once your tattoos are at a point that you feel happy about them, then start posting them. And if you're getting a lot of bad feedback, then it probably means that you should return to the drawing board and start also practicing your drawing techniques, because then you're lacking in an overall understanding of art, not so much necessarily only in tattoo techniques. Another part of social media that I see many artists forgetting is to actually engage with the followers, because that's why it's called social media. We're supposed to be social there. And the reason is that many clients will become much more familiar with you when you're actually answering to their comments and communicating with them even slightly. I don't mean that you have to create full-on chats or long discussions, but just a smiley face here or a smiley face there goes a long way, and they feel like you heard them. And this will create a much more strong foundation between them and you will get more engagement also in your post. There's only positive things basically coming from it. First of all, you will get more engagement on your post. They're the ones who are probably every time going to comment because they're getting something back from you. They're the ones who are always going to like your work. They might start resharing your work. So they are creating a lot of engagement on your post, and you are even creating extra engagement by yourself just by answering to their comments. And in addition to this, these people might become your clients someday, and you can be damn sure that they will at least recommend you as an artist to anybody ever asking about tattoo artists. So it's a very simple tool, but something that I see many artists neglect. Second one is to create a professional website. Now, I do know that the majority of people are working on social media mostly right now and not so much on websites, but it pays off to create a good website. Like I can tell you right now on our website in Studio Malm, we just checked the numbers I think a week ago. We don't have any Google ads or anything, but we had the website for a long while and it's actually fairly active, even if we're not posting a lot there right now. But we have almost 900,000 people visiting our website per year, which I feel is quite a lot for a tattoo studio. The thing about website is also not all of your clients are going to come through social media. Many people will go on Google and they're going to Google tattoo or tattoo shop or best tattoo. Matter of fact, I think 2 weeks ago, I had one client and I just out of curiosity asked her like, how did you find our studio? And she was like, I just Googled best tattoo in the world. And somehow she ended up on our page after a few pages first, and she liked our work and she ended up in our studio. So you never know. I'm sure as we grow the courses and I start developing more and more material, when this whole pack of information grows, we can go into much more detail on how to actually create efficient websites, what you need there, how to boost SEO and so forth. This is not specifically tattoo related, but this is also a big part as us being entrepreneurs on how we can make a huge impact on how good our living will be and how much money we will be making from actually tattooing. So it's easy to think that the only thing is just to post a few pictures on social and just tattoo, but it's much more than that if you want to actually approach it as a job and as an entrepreneur that builds the business into something larger. Then there are many aspects that we will be talking about also, and I will be guiding you clearly step by step on many of these different things. And obviously we will be talking a lot about tattoo techniques as well, but I feel like it's such a broad thing to be an entrepreneur and an artist that there's so many different aspects of it. And if I can teach you to be as good as possible in all of these different areas, then I think you can make something pretty amazing out of your career. So I said it's also a business, and it's funny, but I see many artists who are really good, but they're living from paycheck to paycheck. So there's no tracking of expenses. There's just money coming in and money flying out very fast. So this is something that I want to talk with you about as well as we go forward in the courses and whatever information I will start building. You can make a huge change in your way of living if you just become conscious of what you're doing and how. It's actually in the end very simple. But now as we're going into just these 101s, I'm just going to introduce each subject quickly. And if you want, you can of course take time and investigate it yourself more deeply, but I will do my best to cover as much as I can for as many years as I have energy in me, and we'll see how much I will be creating during the next few years. Then another one is invest in yourself, invest in your business and in yourself. So you have the option of, let's say you just made some money making a tattoo. So you have the option of going and buying a Gucci bag, or you have the option of going and buying a workshop or buying a new machine or buying new inks, or maybe you want a new tattoo chair or better lighting or better camera setup or whatever it may be. So one is you're investing more in your business and in your own growth as an artist or as an entrepreneur. The other one is something flashy that you buy quickly but doesn't give any value to you going forward. Then time management. I also see a lot of artists spending kind of nonsense time on stuff that does not develop them and does not bring in any business. Now it's fine if it's done on purpose, if it's something you really want to do, but I see very inefficient communication with clients. I see people losing clients because of communication. I see people having cancellations over and over again. I've seen it all through my years, and time management is something that, like, doing something once very efficiently will help you in the long run. As an example, let's say you have a client who is reaching out to you, and you probably have a lot of clients who are reaching out to you. If you have a clear form of all the information you need from them, you can always send this out, and you create it beforehand. So it's the same thing that's being sent out pretty much automatically, and then you get all the answers needed instead of communicating and writing separately to each client every time. You save so much time. Just imagine 1,000 emails, and if you just write it once and have it go out. Now, there are some very efficient ways of doing many of these things, such as booking or deposit payments or handling information about aftercare or not ending up with cancellations. And I will share a lot with you on that topic as well as we go forward. But as said, I need to keep everything a little bit cramped now in the beginning as we're going through the one-on-ones. But it's still something I want to introduce to you now, and I want to teach you the stuff that I have learned that is very effective for me, because I think it will serve you greatly in the long run. So as you see, this community is not only going to be specifically about artwork, it's going to be about everything that I know and that I have learned throughout the years to make a very efficient and effective business. Another point I want to stress is you need to learn to balance work with your personal life, because it's exciting in the beginning and it's still exciting after 10 years. But if you work too much, you're not going to be inspired. You're not going to be creating the best artwork. If you're tired, you're not going to want to go to work. You're going to try to finish your artwork too fast. It's going to end up being not the best end results. So you need to learn to manage your time. And there's very effective ways on this as well. And many people have this assumption that, okay, the more I work, the more money I'm going to get in. But it's not really that simple. Because sometimes if you work more, you're going to be stressed, your quality is going to go down. Instead, working a little bit less, your quality is going to go up. People are willing to pay more. Plus, if you work less, you don't have that much time to offer. So now you're selling something that isn't even available all the time, which again leads to people wanting it even more. And now if it's not available all the time, what happened? Prices have to increase as well. Now all these things go hand in hand, and we need much more time to cover it thoroughly. But with this one, again, I will go with the flow and I will see how much stuff I can create, how much I want to create, how much I have time to create. But I will do my best to share as much as possible with all of you guys of what I have learned throughout the years. A few reminders from the Mindset 101 as well. Reward yourself when you're reaching specific goals, even if it's a small achievement. Be happy about it, be joyful, and take time to also reflect on your progress and understand where you started and where you are now. And even when you're facing troubles and stuff, understand you're probably like light years ahead of where you were 2 years ago in your understanding, in your knowledge, in your terminology, in your clientele, in everything. And if there's no development in 2 years, then maybe you have a stagnant mindset. And maybe you need to reflect on that. Or maybe you don't have any clear goal that's actually driving you in a certain direction, so you're just floating around. That's possible too. But when you reflect on your progress, also reflect on your goals and ask if they are currently vibing with you or if your goals have changed slightly. Keep doing stuff that you are interested in and keep mingling with other artists. It really helps to be inspired. And if you feel stuck, try new styles, try collaborating with artists, try visiting museums, try new techniques, or take workshops. Go do something that you're not comfortable with or something that you don't do every day. And most of all, enjoy what you're doing. Try to really enjoy what you're doing, because it's a great, amazing thing that we get to create something on a daily basis and we actually get paid for it. It's one of the best things one could ever do. So just final pointers for achieving, again, a good career in tattooing. You have to, first of all, you have to have the right goal. You have to be inspired about art. It's not enough that, hey, I want to start tattooing because I heard many people make a lot of money on it. You will not have the right drive to start creating amazing artwork. You need to be a little bit into art. You need to be really interested in creating art and into becoming really good at creating art, not only to sell tattoos. It needs to be a combination of both, probably. But you need to have a love for art and you need to have an interest to become better. And after that, you need to have persistence and resilience. And the passion and the joy comes from actually enjoying the art. It doesn't come from the golden coins at the end of the tunnel. It comes from you actually enjoying art and you wanting to become really good at it. So focus on systematically and intentionally, continuously learning and growing. And take some time to reflect. And take some time to practice, not only performing. Okay, thanks guys again. I know this was like fairly shallow on all the pointers, but we're getting close to 1 hour here when I'm filming this, and obviously I will cut it down. But slowly and steadily we'll get to the deep end, and we'll get to dive much more into the details of each of these subjects. And I will also look into the possibility of sharing some systems that we have implemented in our studio that work very well for time management, etc. As we go on, I'll see how we build this community. As always, it's amazing if I get some feedback from you guys. Okay, thank you everybody. See you probably next week again.